This may sound stupid, but I like this ribbon. Adding punch through to the Zenith, which has unlimited punch through, may sound silly, but it's for its primary fire mode, not its secondary. The unlimited punch through is secondary fire only. Its normal fire doesn't have unlimited punch through. Until now. But when I did the video for the Zenith, a lot of people kind of got at me for comparing it to the Braton. And now the buff has arrived, I still don't know. I've enjoyed this weapon way more than I should have. The Braton Prime is my primary. It has 9 formers, it's got a pretty decent ribbon in it. Build-wise, comparing those is going to be a bit of a pain because 9 formers is obviously going to have a better build in it than 4? Yeah, 4. But the weapons themselves, hands down the Zenith, may do a little less damage, but its secondary fire mode, being able to see through the walls, is a huge advantage. Plus the added damage in the secondary fire mode. So for this, I am going to try and ignore that and concentrate just on the primary fire mode of these, where the Zenith, a little bit less damage, same crit, bigger magazine, quicker reload, more status. Yeah, the Zenith, stat-wise, hands down, has to just be better than the Braton Prime. Of course, the Braton's ribbon, it adds punch through, but not as much. It has increased the magazine capacity to make it 107. It's only adding 159 damage, whereas the Zenith's was 177. And it actually has a bad side because it adds weapon recoil. On one hand, the Braton does more damage with 516 slash. The Zenith only does 224. The puncture's 137 on the Braton and 69 on the Zenith. But the impact goes from 19 on the Braton to 51 on the Zenith. So physical damage wise, the Braton is just, it does more damage. There's no way around this in any form of the way. Builds aside, the Braton is the better damage dealing weapon. Which is weird because I've used the Braton for a long time. When as soon as I managed to get a hold of it, I retired my Heck and used it a lot. Then the Vacor Heck came around. I've been playing with that for a long time. I've recently put that away in favour of the Braton Prime again because I got the ribbon and it just made it more up to date. It's not an amazing weapon by any standard, but it's fun to run around with because it's a Braton. You start the game and you were given a choice of a Mark 1 Braton or Mark 1 Paris. And a Mark... Is it still the Mark 1 Strun when you start? I cannot remember. But after all this time, it's 4 years later, still using the Braton is kind of fun to me, which is why I went to the hassle of putting 9 formers into the thing to keep it slightly up to date, more usable and more fun. But then this thing had to come along. And the Zenith deals way less damage, does have a bigger magazine, but with the ribbon on the Braton, that's kind of out of the question here, because that has 107, this has 90. But I still like the Zenith. It works pretty much the same. The crit is the same, the multiplier was the same. It does deal less slash and puncture, but it does have a little bit more impact, which can make it good against certain enemies. The ribbon disposition is the same, the fire mode was the same. This reminded me a lot of the Braton Prime when it first came out, which is why I've kind of enjoyed using it. Plus the fact that it's now been buffed means that it's doing more damage now than it was when it actually came out. Even though it is a 500 days played login reward weapon, does mean that it's going to be one of those weapons that is a pain to get. The ribbons, on the other hand, people seem to think if you've played for 500 days and want this ribbon, you are just swimming in platinum. Which is why a clan member had to help me actually get one, because people just kept asking me for an insane amount of platinum. Which leads us back here with the Zenith having better accuracy, better fire rate, bigger magazine, better status, even though the builds being so far apart, the status is technically worse than the one I have on the Braton. It's got more impact. And as much as I'm trying to ignore it, that secondary fire mode is a huge bonus for the Zenith. I'm going to pin them against each other, against an enemy, and see which one, as I have them now, is basically doing more damage. And I'm going to do this with a level 145 bombard and basically see how many magazines it takes to take them down. I'll just open fire. Again, not aiming for crits or anything else. I just aimed it at the chest, open fire. There's one magazine and half gone. This is the Braton. I'm ignoring numbers for this as well because of the big difference in damage detail. That is a magazine and a half. I don't think the Zenith will be able to get anywhere near that. If it can get close though, I'll be happy. I mean, a magazine and a half technically would be 2 magazines almost for this, because it does have a smaller magazine, but only by a little bit. Also, why did you start moving? That was scary. Okay. What? Let's try that again. That had to be something down to the fact that I cast the wrong ability on him, otherwise something is terribly wrong here. Because it used a magazine and a half. The same as the Braton did. See? That is more what I was expecting. It'd probably take about 3 magazines for this to do anything, because it does less damage. Actually, that's 2 magazines. Wow, there's maybe 20 rounds difference between this. But at the same time, the Zenith has the ability to do this, as long as it doesn't bounce off the map again, which gives it unlimited punch through, which has now been confirmed. Its fire rate is still ridiculously slow, and if you were shooting it in full auto, it would actually deal more damage, but sometimes being able to shoot somebody in the room next to you without actually going into the room next to you can come in fairly useful. Now, you need to... Which one's going to come back first? You are. Go back out there. Let me see through the wall. See, it's bounced off the map, which has instantly stopped this from working. This is kind of a huge downside to this. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The fire rate on this is so slow, it's kind of just silly at times. And yes, I know I am aiming this at the head, whereas the primary testing here was done just aiming at the chest, but that's why Argon Scope and Vital Sense were on this to begin with. And I actually completely missed the headshot. As useful as this is, I really wanted to say I preferred the Zenith to the Braton on this. I still do. I'm still personally going to be running the Zenith because the ability to see through the walls like that and being able to shoot through pretty much everything, apart from doors. For the record, the being able to see enemies doesn't seem to work if they're too close to a door. That was a weird thing I came across using this recently. But I'm still going to use the Zenith more than I am the Braton. When I come to do higher level stuff, I think I am still going to do, or going to run, the Braton because it's definitely better, it does more damage. The Zenith, even though it does less damage, it seems more fun and more useful in a lot of different situations because of that secondary, and despite trying to avoid it and comparing just the primaries, the secondary exists on it. So personally I'm going to run the Zenith, but the Braton, well, it just generally deals more damage. Builds aside, it deals more damage. So I guess we'll leave this off here for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.